Hi, welcome to another Learn, Grow, Invest video. My name is Jermaine. I'm the co-founder of this community. So today we're going to be talking about digital currency. We're going to get an understanding from my good friend Trevor Forrest about what is a digital currency. We're going to talk about the different types, explain for those who aren't really sure where to begin, what is a digital currency? Why is it valuable? Why should I be interested? We're going to answer all of those questions. This is the first video in a two-part series where the next one we're going to explain how to actually go out and own your own digital currency. So this is a very, very good foundational video to watch. If you're interested or know anyone who's interested, you can share this video with them. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below the video and we'll answer them. But this is for anyone who is interested in anything related to a digital currency. We're going to lay a complete foundation for you. And so let's go.
First, what I wanted to do was talk about digital currencies in general. I have a presentation I'm going to go through. And the whole idea of this is to kind of explain the whole concept of digital currencies, virtual currencies, cryptocurrencies, so everybody kind of understands the differences between them. So that when we start, talking about how you can really start participating and playing in that space, that you kind of understand the differences between the different types of digital currencies, right? So the whole idea here is to talk about the basics of digital currency. So what is digital currency, right? And digital currency really is currency that only exists in the digital form. So there's no paper, there is no, the traditional cash, there's no coins, nothing like that. This is all in digital form. You can only use and access this currency with computers or mobile devices or digital devices, digitally based devices, and electronic wallets, right? So just like how you would have paper in a wallet, money, digital currency, because of its nature, can only be moved around on computers, mobile phones, or digital or e-wallets, right? The idea is that you can exchange value, you can buy goods and services, exchange value, and so on and so forth, with this type of currency entirely in the digital domain. The most interesting part of it is in doing these exchanges of values and transactions and so on, you typically don't need an intermediary. Now, what does that mean? Well, typically when you do transactions now in the current way of doing things, you always have to have like some sort of intermediary, a bank or somebody holding stuff in escrow, so like PayPal or Stripe or any one of those. When you move entirely into the digital currency space, you don't necessarily need that intermediary. And what that means is things are extremely efficient. Things happen very quickly, very fast. The transactions are very transparent and they're very trackable and auditable. All right. So very secure as well. So that's really what digital currencies are, right? Now, one of the things that tends to confuse people is you hear about digital currency, virtual currency, cryptocurrency, and not everybody really understands the differences between all of these, right? So I'm going to kind of try to, unpack the differences between digital currency, virtual currency, and cryptocurrency, because it's important for you to understand what those things mean. So when you hear people talk about digital currency is the umbrella description for a whole bunch of different types of currencies that exist in the digital form. So as long as it's digital, however it is created or distributed, it is a digital currency. Right, so digital currency is the overarching description for any currency that exists in the digital space. So central bank digital currencies are digital currencies. Virtual currencies, Ethereum, that kind of stuff. These are digital currencies. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, Monero, all of these are all digital currencies because they exist purely in the digital form, right? So if you kind of look at that hierarchy, I'm showing you here, you have digital currencies, and then a subset of digital currencies are virtual currencies, and virtual currencies are typically not, what is viewed as legal tender. But you can still conduct transactions with them. And then beneath that, you have the more decentralized cryptocurrencies, which, is the buzz that everybody hears about, things like Bitcoin and so on and so forth. So I'm going to kind of explain them in a little bit more detail, but understand that the overall description of this new form of currency is digital currency, under which you have virtual currencies and cryptocurrencies, right? Now, let me kind of unpack some more stuff here. The central bank digital currency is pretty unique, and you may hear a lot of talk about that because there are many banks globally that are really investigating establishing their own digital currency. Bahamas actually is the first to do so officially, first country in the world to do that. The Eastern Caribbean, and Bahamas calls theirs a sand dollar. The Eastern Caribbean, they've also done so with Dash, and there are a couple other countries globally and regionally. Barbados as well, looking into some stuff. Jamaica has also started the pilot program for their own central bank digital currency. The Bank of Jamaica has started that. But the central bank digital currency is really the digital equivalent of the paper money. And we can say that because that digital equivalent can be exchanged directly with its paper counterpart. So one central bank digital dollar equates to one actual physical dollar, right? Central bank digital currencies are backed by the central bank. They are legal tender. It is, like I said, the digital representation of the paper money. What's unique about it is that every single CBDC that is minted or created is unique. So just like how you have a serial number on a paper dollar, a CBDC is unique that way, and which it's the digital twin of the paper money, so to speak. It can be used to purchase things in areas or stores or online in shops that accept that can accept digital currency. And the most important thing that makes it legal is it's backed by the central bank, acknowledged by the government, and it is regulated. All right, it is centralized. It is regulated, centralized, backed by the central bank. In our case, in Jamaica, Bank of Jamaica, right? And it is considered legal tender. Virtual currency now, slightly different. Virtual currency is a type of digital currency. It is not issued to or by a central bank, right? Which is the main difference in a virtual currency and a central bank digital currency. A virtual currency is not controlled or issued by a central bank. It is controlled and issued by private entities. It is not regulated. It is controlled by the people who create it. And its value, as opposed to the central bank digital currency, which is the digital twin of the paper money, the value of virtual currencies are driven by the traders in the ecosystem. So it's a real true supply and demand kind of situation. So the virtual currency, however, can exist in a centralized or decentralized form depending on how the creators of that virtual currency wanted it to work. Now, this is very important because what you see later is that one of the differentiating factors between the virtual currency and what everybody is used to hearing about cryptocurrencies, that cryptocurrencies are meant to be decentralized. That's one of the big differences there. Cryptocurrencies are the decentralized version of a virtual currency, right? So what's the difference between centralized and decentralized? The centralized ones mimic, kind of what happens with a central bank digital currency. It has a central store, a central administrator. It's one issuance authority, and it really kind of mimics what the central bank does, but it's not issued or controlled or regulated like the central bank digital currency. The decentralized virtual currency, which is the one that everybody is familiar with, Bitcoin and Monero and Zcash and all of those are not regulated. They're not controlled by the central bank. They're not controlled by any government. One of the unique features of the decentralized virtual currencies is that they depend on and employ blockchain technology for them to work. All transactions are highly secure, which is the case with most digital currencies. Highly secure, but in the case of the decentralized ones, they're completely anonymous. And one of the cool things about the decentralized virtual currencies is the cost of transactions. They're extremely low. And again, very efficient, low cost. So exchange between parties happens in a very efficient way. All right. So that's the difference between centralized and decentralized virtual currencies. All right. As you can see here, there are quite a lot of them. And again, because cryptocurrencies fall under the umbrella of both digital and virtual currencies, you'll see things like Bitcoin here, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Zcash, a whole bunch of them. So there are quite a lot of virtual currencies out there. In fact, I think there are a couple thousand at last check. Virtual currencies out there. So that takes us now to the last one, which is the one that everybody hears about, cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies is a type of digital currency. It's a subset of virtual currencies, right? It is very secure because of how it employs blockchain technology. It is almost impossible to counterfeit, similar to central bank digital currencies to a certain degree. It is totally decentralized. So there's no central authority that controls cryptocurrencies. But one of the things that you want to be aware of and how it manages to control how it functions is that the supply of any crypto that exists is capped, right? And as part of the way in which that particular cryptocurrency works, there is a finite amount of that currency. So you can't just open, mint or create new currency. It starts off with a capped amount, and the value is also determined by the supply and demand, and that's what, based on the capped amount of that cryptocurrency, plays into the determination of the value. It is not issued by a central bank, obviously, which means it's not regulated. The value of cryptocurrency, because one of the biggest things people always ask is, how is Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin, where does it get its value from? And it's really based on the ecosystem of the investors, the traders, the miners, and so on, and the stakers who participate in the exchange ecosystem for that particular cryptocurrency. All right. Like I said, whole heap of them. So this here is a list of just the top 100 cryptocurrencies that are out there. Like I said, there are a couple thousand, but as you can see, there are a lot of cryptocurrencies out there. Last check, when I created this presentation, the total market value of all cryptocurrencies was about 2.5 trillion. Which some people may say, it's not a lot. But what's interesting is that the beginning of this year, 2021, right? The total market value of cryptocurrencies was only $1 trillion. And between the beginning of the year and now, it has gone, the total market value has skyrocketed to in excess of 2.5 trillion. All right. Now that is something to pay attention to, because it is a testament to what is happening in the cryptocurrency market space right now, right? And this is really why people are so interested. They're hearing about, the value and the amount of money Bitcoin is valued at, and other cryptocurrencies, and people are saying, well, I really need to take a serious look at this, whether it be to invest or whatever in that space. These are some of the reasons why, because all of this that you're seeing here, this market value has really happened or started to happen in late 2016, and it has really shot up between then and now. All right, so why things I'm going to touch really, really, really fast, because this kind of gets like a technical, is how digital currencies work. There are some basic things that digital currencies, regardless of whether digital currencies, virtual currencies, or cryptocurrencies, they always have to have. Digital currencies always use some secure distributed ledger. All right. Now, this is a very deliberate statement, because one of the things that you have to be aware of is the technology that a digital currency uses is what sets them apart. So you will find that while all of them use distributed ledger technology, not all of them use blockchain technology. No. Whenever I do presentations about blockchain, one of the things I always point out is that all blockchains are distributed ledgers, but not all distributed ledgers are blockchains, right? This is very important to understand, because one of the things you will hear about is the fact that certain central bank digital currency platforms do not use blockchain technology, right? The Bank of Jamaica has chosen a platform that does not employ blockchain technology. So that and there's varying schools of thought on that approach, but it's important to understand that no matter which type of currency it is, use a secure distributed ledger. It requires some sort of network, a very robust and reliable, redundant, and secure network. And all of the transactions, because of the nature of digital currency, all the transactions occur entirely in digital domain. Right? There's no paper, there are no coins, everything is digital. So that kind of then led me to, just like how I have the blockchain distributed ledger statement, I have this statement: all cryptocurrencies are digital currencies, but not all digital currencies are crypto. That is an important distinction. So central bank digital currency is not a cryptocurrency. Okay, so it's something to understand there. All right, there's a fundamental difference between a central bank digital currency (CBDC) and a cryptocurrency. All right. So kind of want to just touch on how CBDCs work, and I think maybe we have plans to have a more detailed discussion on that. But just in a general sense, CBDCs and central bank digital currency really should mimic everything and feed all the expectations that people have for how regular paper money works, except in the digital space. Right? So including being able to transact when the network is not available or when power gone, because consider, operating an entirely digital domain with no paper and JPS pop down. However, CBDCs are implemented, they must facilitate and allow for the same kind of transactions to occur in lieu of networks not being online or electricity gone and so on. So it requires very robust networks and so on to make that kind of stuff happen. So kind of saying here, the payment modality for CBDCs must be very simple. It must be low cost. It must have robust infrastructure. You must be able to use them even when you're doing what you call offline transactions, or transactions that are not over the network. So the times when the card machine not working, not an option, and it must be acceptable in a broad, across a whole bunch of different goods and services suppliers, right? Virtual currencies, again, very, very similar, but again, you have some slight differences between the virtual currencies and the central bank digital currencies. Similarities and advantages: they're convenient, they're fast, they're efficient, they're secure. And these are, the advantages of virtual currencies and also central bank digital currencies. The differences, though, and these are some of the disadvantages that you have to pay attention to, is because it's not regulated or backed by a central bank, it is not viewed as legal tender. Because it's decentralized, one of the things that leads to is the fact that it's not readily accepted, in your corner shop or your supermarket or so on and so forth. So it's very difficult for you to do certain kinds of transactions with virtual currencies. Whenever a transaction occurs, it's not a reversible affair. And that again is based on the technology and how the technology works. And that's very very deliberate. And the last thing that is important for you to be aware of is, and this one is important for the people who want to invest or looking to participate in the digital currency space, or cryptocurrency space, is the fact that the value of virtual and cryptocurrencies is extremely volatile, and that is because of how that unregulated nature, but how the value is determined within the ecosystem of miners, stakers, and traders and investors and so on. All right. Again, these are important things to understand for when we start talking about how you get involved in doing this stuff. Again, slightly technical how the virtual currencies work. Transactions are requested. They go through an interesting little process on the blockchain peer-to-peer network. And once the transactions are approved, a block is created on the network. The transaction is more or less registered, and transaction is completed. All right, that's it in a very, very small nutshell. But we're not really getting into the technical aspects of it. Let's talk about some of the opportunities and some of the risks, right? So one of the things that I always try to implore people who want to get into this space to do is to start thinking about everything, not only the currency, but everything that is digital or can be digital as an asset, right? So now the concept of the digital asset starts to take shape. Defining what a digital asset is, it's anything that exists in a digital form that can be used or that comes with a right to use. So music, apps, storage, digital storage, paintings, electronic paintings, that kind of stuff, Word documents, right? Because these things make books. Anything that is in the form of, or in digital form, can be an asset. A storefront, your e-commerce store, is a digital asset, right? All of these things have value. Your health records are digital assets, right? If you have your will in a digital form, digital asset. And cryptocurrencies, digital assets. So in starting to explore this space, the first order of business is to start thinking about everything that exists digitally as an asset. And this becomes important when you start to talk about how you can derive value and store value in these different digital forms. All right. So now the new thing you're learning now is anything that exists in the digital realm can be considered a digital asset. You have a whole bunch of different types of digital assets in the financial space. But here I try to outline a couple. So again, you'll see some familiar ones: central bank digital currency, CBDCs. You'll see stable coins. These are the ones that are again closer to these are cryptocurrencies, but they're considered less volatile than the other, what they call altcoins out there. You have what they call utility tokens, and you also have what they call non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and that's a very popular space, and we're going to talk about that later on in one of our discussions as well. So these are some of the key ones that you want to pay attention to: the CBDCs, the stable coins, the non-fungible tokens, utility tokens. And when we get into how you invest and the things to look for, you're going to start to understand a little bit more when I talk about utility tokens and so on. Which is one of the methods, I pay attention to when I'm looking at what to invest in the crypto space. So here, the main opportunities that exist in the digital currency realm is the fact that you have an entirely new and more efficient way of doing transactions. The value exchange methods and mechanisms are, they're going to explode. So monopolistic payment systems will, evaporate. So you have new payment paradigms, which will lead to new products. And it will usher in a whole new investment realm where you have new products and investment instruments, which are, some of them, albeit digital, are tied to real life, tangible kind of assets. So even though you have a digital asset, it derives its value from something real. So you could have a digital asset that derives its value from oil or from precious stones or precious metals and that kind of stuff. Even solar power and that kind of stuff. So they call those STOs in certain spaces. You also are going to see huge opportunities with stable coins, altcoins, which many people say are the more nowadays are advanced and stable or better versions of Bitcoin. Bitcoin being the poster child and the first one on the block. You'll also hear a lot about security tokens, and this is again an emerging space where I know that the Jamaica Stock Exchange is working on moving in that direction. And utility tokens, which are again a form of digital currency, similar to when you have your loyalty card and you have loyalty points, and that has a whole new realm attached to it, where again value can be exchanged in an entirely digital realm. All right. Finally, I kind of want to talk about some of the risks that exist. Now, one thing, I've mentioned quite a bit here, but one thing I always want people to know is whenever you start participating in the digital currency realm, especially the virtual or cryptocurrency realm, one of the things that you must always know and realize is your money, your currency is entirely your responsibility, right? So if you lose it, that's on you. There is nowhere that you can go to, launch a complaint or claim or something. You have to pay attention to everything that is required for you to keep your money safe, right? Because in the the fiat way of doing things, you entrusted that to the bank, right? So when something I'm seeing, when you go and complain to the bank and they have a whole bunch of different mechanisms, you have, deposit insurance and all that kind of stuff. Right now, no such thing exists in the cryptocurrency realm in the way that it exists in the traditional fiat currency realm, right? And they have some solutions, but it's nothing like what exists now, which is typically what gives the many people the warm and fuzzies about keeping stuff in the traditional realm. However, there are, as we said, a whole bunch of advantages with digital currencies and cryptocurrencies and so on, especially the speed at which transactions can occur and so on. But just to touch on some of the inherent risks, you can't use it everywhere. These are the virtual and cryptocurrencies. You can't use them everywhere. They're not typically viewed as legal tender, although countries like El Salvador have now passed law that allows Bitcoin to be legal tender, and there are a couple other Central and South American countries looking at doing this as well. Because of the anonymity of the transactions, there is always concern about money laundering, fraud, KYC issues, and that kind of stuff. This does not happen with all cryptocurrencies, but this is a concern for some cryptocurrencies as well. Even Bitcoin, there is a concern about the speed and the scalability, the number of transactions that can occur, and this really depends on the type of consensus algorithm that is used to carry out transactions. Because it's unregulated, because its transactions are irreversible, again, there is concern about that regulatory compliance aspect and the safety of the transactions. But because, again, if you use the right platforms like blockchain and the blockchain technology, the safety concerns, it's really something that is an understanding aspect of how things work. And because the transactions, when they're written to that ledger, that blockchain-based ledger, are immutable, there's always concern about privacy. So, if a transaction goes on the blockchain and or stores information that you actually want to remove, you can't remove it. All right. So people tend to say, well, how does that impact, privacy? If there's information I no longer want to store on the blockchain, how do I remove it? And you can't. So that plays really into the design of the platform that, your currency is working on. All right. Airful. But the final thing that you want to be aware of is that digital currencies, whether it be CBDCs, virtual currencies, or cryptos, will do one major thing, and it is to disrupt what we know as the norm now, right? So the traditional financial systems are going to see major disruptions to how they work. In fact, that's the reason why central banks have started to so actively look at central bank digital currencies, because virtual and cryptocurrencies have created such a noise that they have, viewed it almost as a threat. And they are, really now seriously looking at moving into that space because it has threatened the status quo. All right, so I know it was a lot of stuff to compact. I hope I explained it in a somewhat understandable way.
I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you found value in it, be sure to leave it a like. Ask any questions you have in the comments below. Follow us on social media where we're active on Twitter. It's our primary platform of focus, but you can connect with us on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and even Telegram. We have all those links in the description below. So feel free to connect with us, join the community, ask any questions that you wish, and we look forward to seeing you.